So for today's project, the idea, I kid you not, has been percolating in my mind for the longest time. So it's that sigh of relief. We finally get to do it, so it's always very exciting. I should always say it's a little bit nerve-wracking because when you're trying something new, you never really know how exactly it's going to turn out. So there's always a chance of a complete failure. The goal for today is to create a really fun, modern abstract art, either a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, maybe it's going to be a hoodie. All in all, it's going to be a top. I just haven't decided yet what shape and form it's actually going to take. The other part of this project, my a little something extra, I've been saving up for the longest time, since I had this idea, quite frankly. I'm going to lift up the lid. It's a little bit of a mess in there, so please don't judge. But you know how when you're cutting your vinyl on your vinyl cutting machine, sometimes you have these like little remnants of vinyl left that are way too small for any other project, but I just can't bring myself to toss them in the garbage. I don't know. Am I the only one in this club? But there are some other people who are just like, these could be definitely used for something else. So I have a ton of these on the bottom of this bin, different colors, different textures, and that is what I want to use for that abstract modern art. I keep saying art, but I actually don't know if it's going to turn out this way or if it's going to be more of like a geometric print. But either way, there's going to be no vinyl cutting machine involved. I'm just going to do it all with my scissors. And I was going to choose the color of the project because, as you saw, I did pick out some fabrics from my fabric stash, but then I realized that I can't really do that before I sort out these little vinyl scraps. So let me do that real quick so that way at least I know what I'm working with. Indecisive over here. I can't decide on the color of the garment because I'm having a little bit of a trouble visualizing any of the colors with the colors of the vinyl that I have over here. And I know myself, and that decision fatigue can definitely sort of like suck me in. So in order to avoid that, I usually go with the most obvious choice, the one that sort of like jumps right at me. And in this case, I wanted to make a couple of garments in these two colors anyway. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. And once I have my pattern pieces cut out, I'm going to use that as sort of like a brainstorming board where I can just put some of these pieces of vinyl and then decide what am I going to do. I felt quite optimistic, so I decided to start with the yellow, but since I did not have enough fabric even for the smallest garment, I thought to combine it with white for a two-color t-shirt. Now for projects like these, I find that it is much easier to work flat and to apply your design before the entire garment is all finished. So here is my front pattern piece. This is where I have marked the span of my future design. So now it is time to get scrappy. When it comes to colors, I think that I want to go for a combination between green, black, and white with just a little bit of gold and silver mixed in the middle. Next step, of course, is to get that design laid out, and I think it is finally starting to take shape. However, all of it right now is just placed on top of the t-shirt. So now, without any further hesitation, comes the trickiest part of them all, and that is actually fusing it to the t-shirt. The reason why it's trickiest, at least for me, is because it has to be done in multiple steps to ensure that the vinyl underneath doesn't actually move and slide, and therefore the design looks nice and crisp and gives that geometric vibe that I'm going for. So basically first I have to put the entire design together so that way I have the visual, then remove it and then reassemble it in portions as I'm fusing it. So taking a picture with your phone really helps as a reference. After everything is fused, now I just have to remove the clear protective plastic and then finish sewing the t-shirt. Definitely more of a geometric print, but as a final result, I really love it. I do think that it might read just a tad juvenile. I think maybe it has something to do with the choice of colors, but I'm feeling young at heart, so I'm totally fine with that. And I think that with a pair of jeans or shorts on a sunny summer day, this will look really fun. And I actually feel really inspired by the arrangement of the little triangles. So I'm thinking I'm going to do another version of that. So I took a look at my sewing to-do list and I saw that my daughter needs a zip-up jacket, and I thought, you know, this could be a great project for this type of the technique. Now I started by prepping the fabric, then of course the pattern, and then cutting it out. Same as in the previous project, I'm going to work on my design before the garment is all made up. And you know, when I make clothes for myself, I think that they become part of my personality, or they reflect my personality. And I try to do the same for my daughter. Then she likes colorful, fun things, and above all, she likes anything and everything with hearts. So I think I'm going to take that as my inspiration and go from there. Now for this garment, I started by using a piece of dressmaking chalk and then lightly drawing a heart shape on the back bodice. And that was pretty much it. After that, it was time to get scrappy. Now, I'm not sure what is your particular favorite technique when it comes to putting puzzles together, but I know that I like most of the time starting with a frame and then filling in the insides. And I thought that this approach would work really well here as well. So here you can see I'm trying to build out the frame of a heart first, and I also decided that it would make more sense if I fuse it in that order as well. So first, when the frame was done, I fused the frame, and then the more I filled it in, the more I kept fusing it. Now while I'm working on that, let me give you a full rundown of all of the supplies that I used today, so that way if you would like to experiment and do something very similar, then you totally can. First, we're going to start by talking about fabric. So in both cases, for the t-shirt and for the jacket, I used cotton. In the case of a t-shirt, however, it was cotton lycra. I believe it was 97% cotton, 3% lycra, and the weight was just of a regular cotton t-shirting. For the jacket, I did use French terry, but as I mentioned, also cotton. Now here's a big thing. You don't have to make your own garment in order to have fun with a technique like this. Of course, you can go out and buy a blank t-shirt or a blank hoodie or a blank pair of pants or a skirt and then experiment that way. I do like using natural fibers, so if you're like me and you're looking for the content of the fibers used in the garments that you're buying, you can usually find them in the back or in a side seam. Now let's talk about the type of vinyl that I was using. So obviously I'm holding a new fresh roll over here just for demonstration purposes, but in my case I was using scraps, but all of the scraps were iron-on type of scraps, so that's really important. So not any other kind of scraps, iron on. And if you are buying a fresh roll, it will usually say on the roll itself, so that's a really important moment. And my scraps were of all different types of brands and all of different types of iron-ons. Some were strong bonds, some were glitter, some were just regular. So I was just mixing and matching, and for all of them I was using exactly the same setting, which was 330 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 seconds. Now I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the video, but all of the scraps were cut by hand with just regular scissors. Now in my case, I did use Cricut heat press in order to adhere that vinyl iron-on onto the fabric, but I totally understand that not everybody wants and needs an extra gadget in their sewing room, so I decided to conduct an experiment of my own. So I took my regular iron that I use for all of my sewing, pressing, and ironing needs, and I set it on the highest heat setting that I have, which in my case is linen, without any steam. I'm gonna set it aside so that way it can heat up. Underneath I have my pressing mat, so of course you can use your ironing board. Then I'm going to use exactly the same iron-on pieces that I used for all of my other projects in this video. And I'm going to place it on top of my fabric. The fabric here is the same fabric as I used for my jacket, which is cotton French terry. As an extra layer of protection, just in case, I'm going to use this piece of pattern drafting paper. It comes in a roll like this. I use it for all of my pattern drafts, and sometimes I do use it as a pressing cloth. So try it with a pressing cloth as well. This is really, really thin. I just want to make sure that I don't gunk up my regular iron. When my iron has heated up, you want to make sure that you either have a phone available or a stopwatch, so that way you can time it, because you want to press it for 30 seconds. So place it on top and apply firm pressure and then count for 30 seconds. Once 30 seconds are up, go ahead and remove your iron. And then you can also remove this little piece of paper and wait until it's cool to the touch. Now, I know a lot of people always inquire about where I get this pattern drafting paper and where did I get my pressing mat, so I will leave links for both of those in the description of this video. Once this is cool to the touch, we can go ahead and remove the protective layer, and as you can see, it's on there. It's like really on there, so I'm trying to and it's on there really well. So it seems to me that it has worked out. Just be careful. Do not go over these without these protection layers or without something between the vinyl and your iron or your heat press. Also, please remember that different fiber contents will respond differently to large amounts of heat. So please double check what you're working with before you do this. Also, after I fuse my vinyl scraps to the fabric, I don't remove that protective layer of plastic up until the very end when I'm done with the entire design. So that way, when I go over it again, I don't risk getting that glitter iron-on or anything else stuck to the surface of my iron or my heat press. Well, there you have it. Those were all the supplies that I used for this type of project. I had two thoughts that came in my mind. First of all, this could be a really great upcycling project. Let's say you have a t-shirt that has a stain up front or in the back or on a sleeve or whatever. This could really spruce up the entire t-shirt if it's still in great condition, and in return you get that creative activity that you really enjoy. And then if you do have older kids, maybe like teenagers, this could be a really great sort of like exercise for their imagination. Just give them a ton of iron-on scraps and a t-shirt from the store or a t-shirt that they already have, and just watch what they come up with, and I'm sure that there will be some interesting results. All right, drum roll. Let's take a look at the final result. I was not expecting that it's going to turn out this well. I really love it. I want one of these for myself. Now, while I was working on this, I did post a sneak peek picture for my members, and multiple people said that it looks like a stained glass, and I guess it really does, doesn't it? Now, perhaps I could have gone with a heart that's just a little bit smaller. Maybe it's just a tad too big for the back pattern piece for this size of the jacket. But you know, it's an experiment. We live, we learn, we draw conclusions, and then we do better next time, right? But overall, I love how colorful it is. Then I added a little bit on the front pockets, as you saw. The zipper is also this sort of like a rainbow zipper. Then there's just a ton of positive colors right here on the neckline and on the ribbing. And the most important part, my little one absolutely loves it. This little zipper jacket is also fully lined, so if you want to see a super easy way how to line a little knit jacket like that, I do have a full step-by-step video on how to do that. If you you want to know how to sew a really neat neckline for a t-shirt, if you want to know how to sew a t-shirt, all of those videos you will find on the channel. I know I'm a little bit biased, but I just think that this kind of project is a lot of fun, very creative as well, plus you're using what you already have and otherwise would just go in a trash can. So if you did enjoy, and I truly hope that you did enjoy this new series, then give this video a thumbs up and please come back for more. And until next time, happy, thoughtful sewing. I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye!